Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Nintendo Switch's birthday. It has been out for 4 years now. So, happy birthday, Nintendo Switch. Kind of like my D-pad mod there. Kind of cool. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch. We're going to talk some various things, some games, stuff that's coming out, stuff that I talked about previously that I want to come out, and of course the 4K OLED Switch, or the Switch Pro, as it was rumored as. So yeah, let's get started. But before we do any of that, please tap that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps support this channel and encourages me to make more and more videos. So yeah, first off, I want to talk about this news that the new upcoming Nintendo Switch that's coming out, it's going to output 4K and have an OLED screen. Now, supposedly the OLED screen is only going to be 720p. They're not upgrading it to 1080p, which I think is actually kind of a good move. I mean, this thing's already 720p, and people are already having trouble with some of the fine prints on some of the games. Screen's going to be a little bit bigger, so if it's going to be the same housing, it's probably going to stretch to the end of the device, kind of like a lot of modern phones do nowadays. So yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's actually good for a lot of software compatibility that play in handheld at 720p anyway. So I think that's going to make things a little simple. But in terms of 4K gaming, looks like it's the dock that's mainly going to be upscaling to 4K. It's not so much the upscaling; it's that DLSS technology. I think it's like an AI technology. It basically takes what the video source that would be sent and basically kind of upscales it to like a 1080 or 4K. A lot of videos online of what that DLSS technology can do. I mean, a lot of really cool videos. I mean, it's really, really impressive because the power of that isn't really done on the GPU level. It's done afterwards. So it definitely gives the dock a little bit more of a purpose. My theory is it's not going to have, I mean, it'll definitely have the USB-C port, but I don't think the video is going to go through that. I think it's going to have a direct HDMI output. I don't really have any evidence for that or anything like that. It's just my personal theory. But that way, plug it in the dock and it just converts the HDMI right then and there. Hopefully it'll look good. Hopefully it'll be awesome. But here's the thing. I still think the Switch, the OLED Switch or Switch Pro, if you still want to call it that, it's still going to get some kind of a CPU upgrade. Because when the Switch first came out, it used a 20 nanometer GPU, CPU. The current Switch that's out, like the version 2 Switch, and also the Switch Lite uses the same CPU. It uses a 16 nanometer. So you look at the history of the Tegra chip here. Current chip uses 16 nanometer. This is 2021, people. There are 14 nanometer, 10 nanometer, and even some 7 nanometer chips that are entering the market from various microchip manufacturers out there. Come on, NVIDIA, step it up. So you scroll down a little bit, you look at some of the stuff that's on Horizon. This is from Wikipedia, so take Wikipedia from a grain of salt. It's not always accurate. They got some 12 nanometer stuff coming out. Maybe even some smaller, better stuff, which most likely. So yeah, if that happens, I mean, if the new Switch happens, it's probably going to come out with a 12 nanometer chip, which means they're going to be able to overclock it. It's going to have better battery life. So that Switch is going to be much more powerful. So here's my theory on what's going to happen 6 months after the OLED Switch Pro or 4K Switch comes out. 6 months later, because this thing's going to run on less battery life and run a lot cooler if it's running on the same exact clock frequency, I think you're going to see maybe a Switch Lite revision, but I think you're going to see a Switch Pocket or a Switch Micro. Kind of like they had the Game Boy Micro the Game Boy Advance Micro and the Game Boy Pocket, because you take the Switch Lite, which is, you take this guy off. A little shorter than that. It's about that big right there. Still not pocket-sized. I want a handheld that I can fit in my pocket. I like to be able to have my handheld with me all the time. I don't carry a purse. That's what some men out there, if that's what they do. But I don't carry a purse or anything like that. Sometimes I carry a backpack, but not with me all the time. I like a handheld in my pocket. So I think they need to come out with a Switch Pocket or a Switch Micro. Now, here's my personal preference. I think the Switch Pocket or Switch Micro still needs an HDMI output or something like that, because I want the best of both worlds. I want a pocket-sized handheld that I still want to be able to plug into the TV. Just like I do the PSP Slim. I still plug the PSP Slim into my TV every once in a while. That's what I think is going to come out. So now let's get into the games a little bit. Of course, we have the 35th Zelda anniversary this year. And Nintendo's announced some kind of, some custom themed Nintendo Switch stuff, and also they got Skyward Sword getting a remaster, not really a remaster, just kind of an upscaling re-release on Nintendo Switch. Of course, it's still $60. If you just want to get the older version for cheaper, you can, but I still think this is great because, again, Nintendo Switch, it's a console and a handheld, so it serves a dual purpose. And also, motion controls are pretty cool. They did a pretty good job with motion controls so far, and I think it's really cool that they're porting the motion controls over to the Switch, but it has the option for just regular button controls. You can just move, when I play Nintendo Switch, I don't want to sit on the couch and do this kind of stuff. I want to stand up and do that kind of stuff. But there's times when I play video games where I just simply want to relax. So I want to be able to play this Skyward Sword game with just regular controls. So it's supposed to be using the analog stick to kind of wave the sword around, which kind of reminds me of that Star Wars Obi-Wan game that came out way, way back on the original Xbox around launch. So I'm hoping that's going to be good, and I think it will be. I think it's a great move for Nintendo. But I think they need to step it up with The Legend of Zelda 35th Anniversary, which I do think they will. Nintendo's really good about keeping things hush-hush and talking about them kind of shortly before they get released. So I think we'll see a lot more stuff for the Zelda 35th Anniversary coming out later this year. Probably some remakes, some remasters, maybe some multiplayer, maybe like Zelda: Link to the Past or the original Zelda, like an online multiplayer like we saw with the Super Mario 35. I think that'd be really cool with Zelda. The GameCube version of Zelda 4 Swords, I would love an online remake of that. But the thing is, it's also Metroid's 35th anniversary. I know Metroid isn't really that big in Japan. It's more of an American thing. But come on, man, we need some Metroid. Whether they bring over Metroid Prime or whether they do like a Metroid 35 multiplayer or something, I don't know. Here's what I would do if I was Nintendo, and I know they're not going to do this because Nintendo doesn't really do this that much. But those Zelda: Link to the Past randomizers and the Super Metroid randomizers, and even the randomizer that combines both games together, I would come out with an official Link to the Past Super Metroid randomizer for the Nintendo Switch that's actually officially by Nintendo. Even if it's only limited time, I just think that would be really, really cool. So as far as the 4-year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch, how I think it's doing and where I see it going, I think it's been doing amazing so far. They definitely knocked it out of the park with a third-party support. I mean, ever since Bethesda hopped on and came out with like Doom and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's just snowballed. A lot of people, I still see posts about people wishing for the Virtual Console, but I still think they did it well. There's still a lot of great digital titles out there in terms of retro, Genesis, the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, Neo Geo stuff on the eShop, Genesis on the eShop, the Sega Ages, that kind of stuff. I think they're doing great. A while back, about a little over 2 years ago, I did a top 5 wish list of games that I would like to see for Nintendo Switch. Actually, 6 because it had an honorable mention in it. I think they've done a very good job sticking to that wish list. I was definitely pretty shocked with how close they are. Pretty close. But like one of the first games I mentioned was a Mortal Kombat or Injustice game that I wanted to see on Nintendo Switch, and shortly after that they announced Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch. Really loved Mortal Kombat 11 on Switch when it came out. I wish it was a little better because as they released more patches, the online lag kind of got worse and worse, and they didn't implement crossplay. But Mortal Kombat 11 on Switch is still great, and it's still a lot of fun. Really like it. Another game that I mentioned Nintendo Switch needed was a good racing simulator, and of course they came out with Grid Autosport. Really wish Grid Autosport would get a physical release, but it's still a fantastic looking game. Definitely a good racing simulator. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people love it. Definitely glad that came out. Number 3 game that I mentioned needed to come out was a Battle Royale game that wasn't Fortnite. The thing with Fortnite is it's a little more cartoonish. So I said that I would really like a game like PUBG to come to Nintendo Switch, which that's, well, they could do it now with like cloud gaming, like Control. But recently they announced Apex Legends on the Nintendo Switch, which is awesome because I am very, very excited for it. Apex Legends, it's a lot of fun. I think it's going to have crossplay. Pretty sure it's going to have crossplay on the Nintendo Switch. Gameplay looks pretty good so far. I'm thinking it's probably only going to be 30 frames per second, but if it's a nice, smooth 30 frames per second like Doom was, then I think it's going to be fantastic. Number 2 game I mentioned was Destiny. I'd really love to see Destiny on the Nintendo Switch. Haven't really seen that yet. You got Warframe. Warframe's not really an MMO, but it kind of it's basically it's a multiplayer online, but not a massively multiplayer online. But it still kind of scratches that itch a little bit if you like Warframe. Also, Borderlands came out on the Nintendo Switch, so that kind of scratches that itch a little bit. So Nintendo Switch has kind of gotten that, but I would still love to see a Destiny game on Nintendo Switch. I mean, I'm pretty sure Destiny and Destiny 2 use the same engine. Destiny came out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, so I think they can make Destiny 2 work on the Nintendo Switch if they kind of tone it down a little bit. Like, my PC is 8 years old now, and I'm able to play Destiny on it pretty good at 60 frames per second on low settings. But, like I mentioned with Control, Control came out on Nintendo Switch, and it's cloud-based. You know, like it basically streams a video signal to your Nintendo Switch. I think that'd be perfect for Destiny, actually, because it's already online-based anyway. You can't play it offline. So I think that'd be a great way to release Destiny 2 on Nintendo Switch. The number one game I mentioned on my wish list was a Call of Duty game. However, like I mentioned earlier, Apex Legends is coming out on Nintendo Switch, which, again, I am really excited for, and you bet I'm going to make a video on that. Apex Legends kind of has that feel of Call of Duty in terms of the gameplay, made by Respawn Entertainment, which was founded by the guys that made the original Call of Duties. So again, that scratches that itch as well. And also, how easy would it be for them to make an Apex Legends mode that mirrored the classic Call of Duty gameplay, just like a 6x6 respawning gameplay type game, something like that, like a little section of the map. Apex Legends could do that and still kind of get that Call of Duty style game. I mean, I think Apex Legends is going to just take off so much on Nintendo Switch and just make all those other Battle Royale game makers go, holy crap, we missed an opportunity here. And the final game, the honorable mention that I mentioned on my wish list was, of course, Super Nintendo Online games, which, of course, a little while later we got. And I really love the Super Nintendo games that are on Switch Online. Yes, they do need to make a little bit more of them. Yes, they need to get a little more N64 stuff in there, even though they did the Super Mario 64. But they definitely got the heavy hitters from the Super Nintendo on the Nintendo Switch. They got the Mario All-Stars, the Super Mario World, the Mario Kart, the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, the Donkey Kong Country, the Super Metroid. So yeah, they definitely got some great games. And even games they don't got on there are still available on the Nintendo Switch. You got some of the classic Mega Mans that are part of the compilations. You got Contra and Castlevania 4 that are part of the Konami compilations. Secret of Mana, good RPG from the Super Nintendo, from Squaresoft, now Square Enix. Like to see some more Final Fantasy games from the Super Nintendo era. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the 4-year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch, what I think of the upcoming 4K OLED Nintendo Switch, and the games that have come out so far, and what I'd like to see with some future games. Be really awesome to see Microsoft xCloud on Nintendo Switch, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I've talked about that before. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Again, tap that like button and help support this channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for coming to my video. If you would like to help my channel grow, please like and subscribe, and please click on this little bell icon so you never miss a future video.